Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome. I am Jamie Mendez, and I am the founder of Magical Me, as well as a co-founder of Oracles of the Light. And today I'm being joined by my lovely and magical brother of light, Tor Webster. So, Tor, you want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, thank you very much for that introduction. Lovely connecting with you and over there in America. It's just great that we have this ability to use the web of light in a positive, loving way and beam that love out through that web of light, you know, the interweb as it's called sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
it's
Yeah, I
great.
love that. The web of light.
Yeah, part of the change, you know, I think, yeah. So thank you. Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely you do this interview. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for allowing me to, have you on and talk about all of the incredible things that you do and in that incredible place that you live. So,
Yeah.
Tor Webster, for those of you who do not know, Tor Webster is a trans medium. He is what I like to refer to as a keeper of ancient wisdom and knowledge for ancient Avalon in Glastonbury, England. And Tor also runs historical tours of the sacred sites around many different areas, not only Glastonbury, England, but many different areas, many different countries as well. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. And we are also going to be talking about ancient Avalon, which is modern day Glastonbury, England, and some of the surrounding areas. So, one thing that I want to just say briefly, I did an interview with Tor quite a few years ago when we first met. And how I met Tor was through the calling to come over to Glastonbury, England. And it was something that I had been called to do for quite a few years. And through, research and my own inner study, I discovered my ancient connection to the lands of Avalon. And how I had been called over there was to reconnect with the energy of the land. And something that really does happen during, going over there and actually visiting those ancient sites. It does really happen where you are able to reconnect with the ancient magic and wisdom of the land. But I was called over there and doing some research with a couple of my lovely friends I'd gone on vacation with. We'd come across Tor's website, and Tor offers tours of the Glastonbury tour. And his website is Tours of the Tour. It's quite a tongue twister.
Or just tours.
Tours. There you go. And so we found his website, and we were able to, connect with him and book the tour with him. And I have to say, I'm not just saying that because, we're doing this interview and because I love Tor. We're doing this because I'm saying this because it's really true. It changed my life. And being part of what Tor is offering, or him facilitating it really did facilitate my own awakening, is what I'm saying. And we went on the tour. It was, we booked the 8-day tour through Glastonbury, Cornwall, Stonehenge, Avebury, and visiting these sacred sites was just an incredibly magical experience. And it was something that I was always called to do. And once getting there, I began to fully understand why. And so for a couple of years, I kept going. We've gone back a couple of times and still planning on continuing that. I was guided to start bringing more people with me over to have these tours with Tor. So Tor, do you want to talk a little bit about your tours and really what guided you called you to do them?
Well, I don't really know what called me. I think the greatest things that we do in our life are the biggest surprises. That's kind of what I believe, that we think we're making plans. I wanted to be a big filmmaker. I'm not putting a kibosh on that, but we but the universe has a very different plan for us, you know. And I kind of stumbled into the tours as soon as I moved to Glastonbury 20 years ago. And I was working, well, first of all, I was working as a video editor in Bristol, and I was traveling an hour up to Bristol, back and forth, well, not every day, because actually I ended up getting on a retainer, which gave me a lot of extra time. So I didn't need a lot of money in those days, so I would just meet people randomly in Glastonbury, and they go, "Oh, tell us about Glastonbury," and I would tell them the myths and legends. And I said, "Oh, you know, let me take you up the Tor, let me show you around the Abbey," you know. And I was just kind of showing people around, and that went on for a while. And then I went off traveling and made the Rainbow Serpent Project film, which is now completed 10 years ago and out there, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime, about the Earth Chakra journey. And when I came back, I was planning to maybe do my own shop, and I was working in retail and still doing tours, and then I did a shop for a couple of years and doing the tours, and then I went again traveling to promote the film that I'd made around the world, and started to make the second film, which is still in production. It takes time, these things, again, the divine time. And then 2011 was very much the gateway year, you know, for you know, an opportunity to really move into the age of Aquarius, through the gateway. And actually, I'm part of a group called the Arimathean Group, and have been for nearly 30 years now, and makes me feel old. Well, I started very young, and we actually created a ceremony where we went through that 11 gateway, and everything changed. And I was in Mexico. I was in the alchemical marriage site in 1111. And then I got a call that my dad was passing away, and on the phone he passed away, and you know, a part of me kind of went with him, and came back, and then ended up moving to Scotland, which was wonderful. I was working and living up in Scotland, and then that editing job also came to an end, and I came back to Glastonbury around the autumn equinox, and of actually, yeah, around 11, the year 11, and that's when I met my wife on top of Glastonbury tour. Julie, my wife, she was visiting from Belgium, and then I went again. Went to do some more traveling for the next film project, and 2012, which was very much a transformational year. It's in the Mayan calendar, prophesized that was when there was a great shift of consciousness, and I walked there with Julie and with other people up the labyrinth on the tour to the ceremony for the winter solstice, which there was thousands of people on top of the tour that felt the call to be there. And as I came round the end of the labyrinth to the center of the labyrinth, I was joined by a dear brother called Sunbird, who had been doing ceremony all night with water from sacred waters all over the world, which is part of the journey that I've taken as well. And he was parading a rainbow dragon or rainbow serpent with about 20-30 people forming this rainbow serpent up the hill.
Wow.
And I came round, and he was walking up, and he said, "Come join me, Tor." So we walked together, the two of us paraded up the top of the Tor with this rainbow serpent, rainbow dragon, which was very, very crazy. And then a few months later, I decided that I was gonna stop messing around with silly little jobs that weren't really satisfying me, and to take the plunge as a tour guide officially. So I set up a website, and I got one booking, I got two bookings, and then quite quickly I was sustaining my life with the tours alone, and yeah, I haven't turned back. That was 8 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, it's a long story. I apologize, but
No, no, don't
it's
apologize at all.
that is the magic of
Yeah.
Avalon, and I haven't really put all of those ideas together in my brain, but it does really describe that idea that basically we don't have a clue what our purpose, what our service is upon the planet, but it's best to be ready for anything, and really go with the flow as powerful as possible, and
Yeah.
I think that's part of the Avalon magic. Actually, that's part of the transformation that Glastonbury gives people, which has become very known as the Glastonbury experience. That's really what we're talking about here, and that was part of my Glastonbury experience. That I thought I was going one way, and then I came to Glastonbury, and the energy set me on my path. That's what it does. It sets you on your path, and it probably these sacred lands here have probably been doing that since the beginning of time, millions and millions of years ago, and that's why that the family of Christ came here 2,000 years ago, because they were probably having a Glastonbury experience, or Avalon experience, or Inniswittering experience, as it was originally called, these lands. And it was very transformational for them, because they basically created the Celtic Christian church, which has since sadly become slightly distorted, more with the kind of the Catholic connections, but part of my job is working with recovering Catholics, as kind of become known, which is a really wonderful part of my job, to remind people of the love and the peace and the light that is the Christ consciousness. Not the Christian church, but the Christ consciousness,
That's
because
right.
Christ consciousness is a personal Gnostic relationship with the energy that has for throughout time been evolving. The Christ actually represents love, and there is a link to Christ and crisis as well. Christ and crisis is one in the same, as I'm kind of starting to understand, because around the time of Christ there was a massive crisis. The Roman Empire was trying to take over the world, a bit like now the elite are trying to take over the world, the new world order, that the world domination. It's not a new thing, and this virus, which I think is more of a virus of fear, not so much actual physical virus. And actually, the word virus means poisoning, by the way, which I'll just throw that in there. And we are experiencing a crisis, and it is a crisis consciousness that we're going through right now. And this year has been earmarked as the year of completion, but we had no idea. I mean, a lot of the teachers that I work with and other teachers have warned us something is going to happen, and it was kind of in the same lines as the Third World War, and this is kind of like a Third World War. It's like the world is coming together and fighting a kind of invisible enemy, but whoever the enemy is, or whatever the enemy is. But we are now in this crisis, but in a crisis, everybody comes into their consciousness. Yeah. So it's like, this is what's happening, and Glastonbury has been in the news a lot recently during this crisis consciousness, because we are quite like heart expanded you know, free thinking people. So we've had, throughout the lockdown, we've had protests and kind of like the figurehead of the kind of anti-COVID situation, the brother of Jeremy Corbyn, Piers Corbyn. He has been running and leading protests here in Glastonbury. So yeah, it's quite interesting, coming from the heart chakra
Right.
of the planet. Yeah.
And that's something that I want to point out too, is you're really talking about, you know, how Glastonbury experience, it is facilitating this, like, it's like the pathfinder, you know, it's putting you onto your path there and helping to awaken, you know, kind of like where you're really meant to be moving, which is less within your mind, more from the heart space, which
Yep.
Glastonbury is the heart chakra of the earth, as well as currently the third eye chakra as well of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the path from the third eye down into the heart. So you're coming from your where you think you are into where you are. That's
That's
what
right.
happens when you journey to the heart chakra of the planet. You know, so and I think the ancientness of it is that it's like a crystal that that is holding that consciousness here. So it's like a lot of people remember past lives of passing through Glastonbury at some point as well, and it's like whenever you kind of need to realign yourself, like you make your way back to Glastonbury, you know, back to the heart. And I'm not saying that it's the only place that has this effect on you. There are many other sacred places, and you know, and all land is sacred, but there is this concentration of energy in certain sites around the planet, which probably are connected to the earth chakra points. But Glastonbury is not only just the heart chakra currently, it's also the third eye chakra, which moves a 12th around the planet every precession of the equinox, every 2,000 years. So it came with the family of Christ from Israel or Palestine to Glastonbury, where they basically planted, like the holy thorn tree with Joseph Arimathea's staff, they planted that consciousnness in the ground here for it to cultivate and to grow into a consciousness that was basically released in the year 2000 and matured up until the year 2012, and then expanded out around the world from there. It's a bit like a toroidic fountain of energy, you know, a kind of a global toroidic fountain of energy that is more relating to the North Pole and South Pole, but Glastonbury is basically a pole as well, because it has that solid vortex of energy that is held by the Tor, and all the springs coming out of the Tor and all the calcite crystal in the Tor kind of hold all of those hundreds of ley lines that meet in that pole, creating that toroidic force field, that energy. So thank you for that vision. I haven't seen that before. That's from you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to say, because also when the first time I did the Glastonbury tour with you, because as I said, after that, I got guided to continuously go and help bring as many other women who come into my path that are meant to go there as well, to help facilitate, to get them there with you and to have that experience. But the very first time that I was ever on the tour, I sat there for a few moments and I said, okay, well, I'm here. I'm finally here. You know, what is it that I need to see? What is it that I need to know? You know, and I just connected in for a moment. And after a while, I started to have this vision of a heart, a literal human heart. And of course, I knew that it was the heart chakra, but I had this vision and I started to see the heart beating. And then I saw the many vessels and, you know, arteries that come out of the heart and into the vessels that move throughout the body. And I heard this amazing, very prominent voice say, the heart is what pumps the blood throughout the rest of the vessels and the veins throughout the body. that is what Glastonbury is. That is what the heart chakra is. And so, because I had asked myself the very same thing, you know, you had touched on, of course, it's not the only sacred place throughout the entire land, throughout the entire world. There are many. But I do feel like it is a personal calling, a personal experience as to why you get called to each and every single one. You may get called to all of them. You may only get called to a few throughout this lifetime. Yeah. But I had asked, you know, what do I need to know about this specific place for myself? And I was shown that the heart chakra is what pumps out to the rest of the land, to the rest of the planet, to the rest of, you know, all of the ley lines. It's that central point, like you said, that's holding all of that love consciousness, that Christ consciousness there for everyone. And yes, it absolutely does facilitate that shifting and changing and awareness. And sometimes it's gradual, you know, little over time. And sometimes it's in a really big way. I think it just depends on what you need. But.
And do you know why I have an idea, but I want to ask you first. Do you know why you saw the blood?
Why I saw the blood? Because, well, I have my own thoughts on that, but the lineage, the blood, the lineage. Yeah.
Exactly. She's right behind you.
Sarah.
Sarah
Yeah.
bloodline. It's because basically the bloodline, as I see it, which is much older than we can actually comprehend, has been traveling through the consciousness, and the DNA of the consciousness goes back through the line of David, and before David goes back to the kind of the Nordic consciousness, which basically all of our spiritual ideas, as far as I know, all go back to that time of the top of the North Pole, which was paradise, paradis, which means the pa is the pole, and it's where the highest vibration of consciousness is, at the pinnacle of the magnetic energy of the planet. So it makes sense that that bloodline has traveled throughout the northern hemisphere, which has now become more the Western hemisphere, with the movement of the poles in the planet, and now the magnetic polar energy is actually making its way back to Europe as well. So it's fascinating. So it is more than just the story, the bloodline of Christ. The bloodline of Christ goes way back, and it is a thread through that kind of blue-eyed, like yourself, you know, blonde hair, you know, like yourself. I know it might come out with bald, but you know, white, you know, it's not a race thing. It's basically about sharing, and you know, the kind of the God aspect came from the good people that were like angelic people, and angel means messenger. So the good messengers were moving around the planet, bringing the consciousness, bringing the information, sharing it, the same as the family of Christ. They were travelers. They were bringing the good message, the angelic gods of our time, you know. And it's now beautifully, it's as the expansion of mankind, you know, because there was only probably 7 million people upon the planet at the time of Christ. Now there's 7 to 8 billion people, 7 to 8 million people in time of Christ, 7 to 8 billion people upon the planet now. And that says to me that the expansion of consciousness, it doesn't say the kind of that we're overcrowded. It just says that there's more consciousness upon the planet, more and more, you know. So because it's the consciousness ones that, you know, keep a low profile and share and help thy neighbor, share love with their family, share love with their friends, and, you know, doing the small jobs that are important. The Gnostic people, that's Glastonbury is very, very Gnostic, even in its 70 plus faiths and traditions. Everybody is quite Gnostic, and in the kind of foundation of the Gnosticism or mysticism of spirituality is that love vibration, is that Christ consciousness, however you want to express it. So a lot of druids, a lot of Sufi, a lot of a whole load of Christians, and, you know, Native American, many of those 70 plus people all hold that Christ consciousness in high regard in their heart, because it is the heart, it is the bloodline, and probably our bloodline goes back to the Christ bloodline, you know, through Sarah, who was you know, the kind of continuation of that family. I know we have different visions of who she was, but that's all right.
Yeah, and I think more so than anything, I think it's more so what she stands for. That is the importance of it. And, you know, even my work with Ascended Master Sarah, you know, she actually, and you recently did an interview with the lovely Rachel Goodwin, who is a really good friend of mine. We do work together, and it was Ascended Master Sarah who actually led me to Rachel and to discover working more with her. And in my work with her, with Sarah, I have actually received information that she's bringing forward this integration, this yes, the love consciousness, but also that unity consciousness, and really now moving everything kind of coming together now in that. It's interesting when we were talking about the crisis consciousness, and it's like you can't have one without the other, but in order to have one, you've got to have the other. And that's exactly coming into this crisis consciousness now. The purpose of this.
I heard you say Christess, like a priestess.
Didn't I?
I heard, yeah, I thought you were being clever with the word priestess, Christess. Crisis. That's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting. Maybe we need. Maybe it's a word that's. Maybe there's something there. You know, this crisis consciousness that's coming forward right now is. That's also interesting with the, you know, the healing and the return of the sacred feminine, you know, with the masculine. So maybe it was a Freudian slip. I don't know. But the crisis is essential. It's essential for us to come into that love consciousness, to come back to love consciousness, because it's like when you're, you know, the mini journeys that we all go on through our own awakenings and our path, we go through initiations. Through those initiations, we get triggered. You go through the darkest, deepest stuff that is designed to facilitate your coming into your truth, coming into your love, coming into your power, your sovereignty. It's just that the crisis consciousness is part of love consciousness to trigger us into love and oneness, to come back together. And it's like you said, how it's so beautiful. There's 70 plus different practicing faiths in Glastonbury, yet they all coexist beautifully together, because it's the oneness, and it's about returning. And in crisis, humanity tends to come back together in oneness. So, you know, first there's some other stuff that occurs along the way first, but essentially designed to bring us back into oneness. So.
40 days and 40 nights. You know, actually during the lockdown, the population of the planet hit that point, the Christ consciousness point, which there was 7,777,777 people upon the planet.
Wow.
All the sevens during that lockdown.
Wow. I did not know that. Wow, that's amazing. And the sevens have been really, really important. Like I've seen them so much this year. That, you know, I'm a number girl. I'm all about the
Mm.
magic of numbers and the messages that, you know, the frequency that they hold. And it's interesting because no one ever told me this, but whenever I was connecting with Sarah, I would see 77s all the time. And I started associating 77 with her. And I didn't quite understand why, but I've always associated the number seven with alchemy and transmutation. So it does really feel like, you know, the sevens being all about that, the alchemical occurrence needing to occur for the ascension, for the love consciousness. So
It's
that's
also,
interesting.
yeah, the number of completion, all the sevens.
Really?
Mm.
Oh,
Well,
I
I mean, that's
didn't
how
know
I
that.
see it. You know,
That's how you see it.
the seven chakras, the ones you've risen up to the seven chakras, is the completion. Where the
Yeah.
seven and the seven planets is it's like the fullness. The seven is like the fullness number. The seven Elohim. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
there's always seven
Seven
rays.
rays. Yeah.
There's always seven. So I think that is like a sign that we have reached that Christ consciousness in that population number. You know.
Yeah. And speaking of Christ consciousness, so this is a consciousness that you actually channel to
Yeah.
help.
Well, it's more of the universal truth that I channel. It's a teacher from the universal truth, but I, you know, that is the Christ consciousness, and I've been very fortunate throughout my life to be connected to the story of Joseph Arimathea and Mary Magdalene here in Glastonbury and throughout my life actually, and so that link has come from many lifetimes, and I bring that through again now. But yeah, so it is that, you know, so many of us now are realizing our skills of our psychic skills or our channeling skills, and you know, the trance mediumship is the way that I'm lucky enough to help people with, and they're basically the representation of the universal truth comes through me. And well, actually no, it doesn't come through me, it actually goes through the person I'm communicating with, so they can, the teacher can connect with that person's higher self and understanding, and then comes through me to share with them what they see in around that person there. So it's yeah, I'm so fortunate I've been able to do that. I've been doing it since I was, you know, kind of well, consciously since I was about 12. Between 12 and 16 I started really developing it, and now I'm 44.
Yeah. Wow. Magic 44. Look at that.
Exactly, yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I do have to say that there have been so many people who you have really helped and really have provided something very valuable and brought powerful healing to them. Because we at Oracles of the Light, which is my sister business here in, well, I'm located in New Jersey, but our business is right across the border in Pennsylvania here. We actually host Tor once a year for the last few years now to come here and work with the people here that don't get the opportunity to travel over to England, and have sessions, one-on-one personal sessions. And they have just raved, and it's, you know, you coming here has been a huge success, and it even brought a different level of awareness to the people that we work with. So I have to say that what you're doing is incredibly necessary, so helpful, and we're so grateful for that. So thank you for being able to do that.
And I'm developing it online as well, so I can do the same type of channelings and healings remotely. So wherever people are around the world, I can do a channeling through Zoom or however people want to do it. It works very well.
That's wonderful. And I know that there's so many people, at least from, you know, who work with us with the oracles, that would be very interested in that. So we'll definitely put that out there. So
Thank you.
Can they go over to your Facebook page to message you, or
Yeah.
how can they contact you?
Yeah, through Facebook, or through my website, Tours. I also have a website for my channeling, which is just torwebster.com. I haven't got a lot of information, but people can contact me through that as well. I should develop
Perfect.
that site a little bit, probably. So much to do, but I'm focusing now on my virtual tours, and this coming Friday, I'm doing a virtual tour in London, which looking at the sacred sites of London, and not a lot of people know there are like ancient
No.
sacred sites of London. There's there's connections to Diana, the ancient goddess of the hunt. There's the actual name London comes from Lud, which is the Lud Adun, the home of the god Lud, which is ancient Celtic, Irish as well. The kind of Lud was still worshipped and celebrated up until the kind of the Roman period over in Ireland very strongly. That was the connected to the Tuatha De Danú, which is actually the connected to the Dan, the tribe of Dan, which came from the far north. The Dan Dan actually means them,
Mm.
and Denmark means the land of them, and so it's the tribe of Dan as well means them, and so these are the kind of ancient Gnostic Nordic people that didn't really, they didn't do religion like we did. They just said we are what we are, deal with it,
Right.
you're wonderful, I'm wonderful, let's just get on with stuff. It's like they didn't like to put titles and kind of write things down. They just did it, Gnostic style. So that's London virtual tour, which you can sign up to on Facebook this Friday. I'm also starting, I might change the date slightly of my chakra tours, but they will be starting every Saturday, maybe next in 2 weeks time.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm doing a tour around, a 2.5 hour tour around Glastonbury, but every week I'm going to be focusing on a different chakra, and so I'll be doing a visualization at each of the chakra points around Glastonbury as I do the tour, starting at the base on Wiriel Hill, and then every week do a different chakra, and then the 7th week I'll be on top of the tour doing the crown chakra visualization. So you can either join for all of them or just one of them, and they'll be available on my Tour website to kind of watch again as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'll definitely be sharing the events on my page, everybody, if you're
Oh,
interested in
thank you
that.
very much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only way that
Yeah, yeah,
during COVID we can
yeah.
get to experience these amazing, ancient sites that just hold so much power, healing, and just, raising up the vibration for all of
And let
us,
me do a plug for you as well, because I love the work you do with Magical Me and the Oracles
Thank
of
you.
Light. So do check out what Jamie's doing. She's doing lots of wonderful, amazing things to inspire,
Thank you.
especially women, inspiring women to connect to their own inner
Yes.
strength and spirituality, and then to share that with other people as well. So
Yeah.
thank you for continuing with that, because
No,
I know
no.
it's tough,
Thank you.
and it's really well worth doing and continuing with. So thank you for that, and check
No,
out
thank you.
through your website. What's your website then?
Yes, www.magicalme.com, and my sister business is oraclesofthelight.com.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, do
yeah.
check them out. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's interesting. Before we head out, I just want to say it's interesting because there isn't a whole lot. We're starting to become more and more aware of that there is a chakra system simultaneously throughout the planet, as within, so without. And people are becoming more and more aware of that. But to understand that there are also mini chakra systems within lands in certain areas is just another level of, just wow, and it's interesting because I don't remember discussing that, we may have, but I really don't remember discussing that when we did the tours together. And it's possible I was just like floating around and kind of heard you somewhere in the back of my mind, but I felt it. I felt when just going through Glastonbury, I felt it. Then when we got to Cornwall and we're, you know, in St. Nectan's Glen, I felt it. I felt like I was connecting with different chakras at each site. So I love that you're now talking about this and doing this. Do you want to talk a little, can you get a little bit about the sites? And
I really like what you said then, because that is kind of spot on. Because as always, because basically when I was doing the Rainbow Serpent Project and traveling around the Earth chakra system, one of my deepest connections, of course, because actually the Rainbow Serpent comes from Uluru, Australia. So the first place I went to, not even knowing what I was doing, was Uluru, Australia. And I built up a strong relationship with the beautiful Aborigine elder and teacher and guardian of one of the guardians of Uluru, Bob Randall, bless his soul, who's passed on now. And he actually even came an hour down the road from me and did a weekend long workshop about Aborigine culture, and which I was able to. That was the first the second time I met him.
Was he the gentleman that was in the Rainbow Serpent with you?
Yeah. That was actually, that was after the first time I met him was when I interviewed him from the film, and that was synchronic. Then the second time I met him, he was an hour down the road from Glastonbury doing a presentation about the film that he was part of called Kanini, and then I definitely booked on the workshop. He did like a weekend workshop, and we spent some time together, and then I met him several times after that as well. But the first time I met him, we were talking about this earth chakra idea, and he said, well, in the Aborigine culture, we are aware of energy places in the body, but we don't really relate to the earth chakras. Sorry, that was Bob Randall. I have, because when you mentioned his that flickering of power,
I just got incredibly dizzy for a second there.
It's very powerful, but I want to mention that when you talk about Aborigine elders, you have to do it with a huge amount of respect and honor for them, because they don't like to be mentioned when they pass into spirit, because it brings them back, which is very interesting. So I have to say sorry about that, Bob Randall, but I love you, brother, and yeah, there is again. See, they're very, very present. So it says stop mentioning my name because it keeps on bringing me back. Sorry. Okay, won't do that again. Okay, but that there are these energy points in the body, and how the Aborigine worked with it. Basically, they would go on walkabout, and a walkabout is a very real thing. So the Aborigine people still today are very nomadic, and they would travel all the time, pretty much going from place to place to place where there was water, where there was food, where there was different climate, and they would walk for months, you know, at each time. And they would also connect to the song lines, and the song lines are ley lines, energy ley lines, but they call them song lines because each Aborigine country, and there was like hundreds of Aborigine countries across Australia originally. Each Aborigine country, which was probably like in America the equivalent of a state, and each state would be an Aborigine country. So they took the responsibility of the song lines, of the energy lines, the ley lines coming into their country, and as they traveled, they had a song. Each place along the ley line, they had a different part of the song that they had to sing along the ley line. So that was part of the connection to the earth energies and the ley lines. But they would also, even wherever they were walking, they would go on walkabout, and they would feel an area in their body, somewhere in their body, in their head, in their heart, in their feet, in their belly, and they would feel it. And if it was really, really resonant, they would stop, and they would sleep in that area for a few days, and to communicate with that sensation that they were feeling. So that's basically the kind of the the smaller and the more local chakra explanations. Then you've got the kind of country chakra explanations, and the kind of global didn't really exist for the Aborigine culture, because they had lived for at least 150,000 years in Australia, and they hadn't really left the country, so they didn't really have a massive global concept. They our dear friend, who I won't mention again, he told me that that the Aborigine people, or the original people, because Aborigine is actually a kind of disrespect, but they don't really mind it. They know we love them, and that they are the original people. They actually came, it said, from a land near Japan that disappeared during the floods, and we're talking like pre-ice age, like a few ice ages ago. The land disappeared, and they jumped on the back of the rainbow serpent, and the rainbow serpent took them to Australia. But they probably were talking about the ice, that the ice covered the planet, and they walked on the ice until they came to a place that was warmer and more clement climate that they could actually survive on.
Wow.
And there's a lot of stories like that. The same as the people of Rapa Nui, Easter Island. A similar story, that they abandoned their island because they basically cut down all the trees, and these massive pieces of ice were floating in the ocean near them, and they actually climbed on a massive piece of ice and lived on this piece of ice, probably with polar bears and other animals that were there at the time, and they floated to New Zealand, where they got off and continued to live and became the Maoris.
Wow. That's really amazing. Fascinating
Yeah.
information. What I loved about that too is what you said about the song. So one thing that has developed in me over the last couple of years, and I want to say maybe since the first time I went to Glastonbury, it started developing more in me, is that I actually, part of the healing work that I do is using light and sound. And how I do that is through vocal toning, which I have heard intuitively is called light song. And I do channel a light language for light healing activations and transmissions. And I did notice that when I walk the ley lines, or even if it's not a ley line that I know about and it's somewhere, here local, and I'm just walking in a certain area in the forest or something, I naturally start to go into song. I catch myself, I start singing or humming. It's not often words, but every now and then it will be words. And I'll start going into I'll hear myself going into light language in my head, or I will start actually humming and singing, doing light song. Yeah. And I think it's funny because quite a few times before I really even understood, what I was doing and what was happening, I do remember quite a few times as you and I were walking, we're, walking through these ley lines on the tour. I think you might have been in one space, I'm in the other space, and we both started singing. I think we were singing the same exact song. I don't know if you remember that. We were singing the same exact song, and I'm like, maybe the whole,
I do that a lot. I sing a lot as part of my tours, actually. Thank you for that recognition. Do you remember? And it was I was reminded by it. The last tour we did together in Tintagel. We came out of the inner sanctum of the cave in Merlin's cave, remember? And we all came out, and we all of us heard these monks singing, ancient monks singing an ancient song. Yeah. And I was reminded, and everybody heard it, even
everybody
of the group heard it.
And there was no one there.
No one there.
There was no one there. The one of the people that we were with in the group actually went further out towards where the opening was, and there was no one there. No. And there was after we went back, it was another part where we were in there, gentlemen had come. And the gentlemen were swimming in the water right there outside of Merlin's cave. And we asked them if they had done it, and we asked them if they heard it, and they had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah.
It was just the group. We all heard.
It was awesome. And I was reminded of that last time I was at Merlin's Cave, which was just last week, actually. I took a group there, and there was 3 of them decided not to come into the inner sanctum. I just went in there with one person, and when we came out, 3 of them were singing like a light song, like you were talking, because they were actually mediums as well. But before that experience, I have sensed monks singing there, but I haven't heard it. You know, that was the only time I've heard it. You know, but I've had some really interesting times in that cave. You know, another time that I went there with a very special light worker, and there was the local seal had made her way into the cave, into that pool, and it was a real beautiful blessing to sit with that seal. And you know, I was worried that she'd got stuck in there, but she made her way out, and I watched her swim away. So it was nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, how amazing. Yeah, that was quite an experience to
Well, we
have
could talk
that.
for hours, but
We really could.
maybe we should.
Yeah. So thank you so very much for coming on here and talking about, you know, this incredible work that you're doing and the incredible magic that, you know, ancient Avalon is still there, still carrying, you know, for those who can experience and those who cannot experience in person due to COVID, due to distance, due to time. Tor is making it virtually possible. So check out his website, check out his events and his tours that he's offering. And I look forward to being able to see you in the flesh again soon. So
likewise. Thank you so much. I think you should do more of these videos. I think you are such an amazing hostess. You're very good at interviewing people. I think you should do more.
Thank you.
Get some big name people out there to interview. I think they would appreciate your style, you know, and you're very honest and positive and grounded as well. So
thank you so much. I love you for saying that.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Okay,
all right.
To everybody out there, and see you on the web of light.
Yeah. See you on the web of light. Thank you once again.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.